Hello, it is 11 a.m. on Saturday morning, February the 11th, 2023. My name is Jay Carpenter. I'm founder of Desert Blockchain and Desert Blockchain Camps. And today we're going to be talking about the $10 million Soroban Open Funding program that was just announced on the 8th, and it is an opportunity in multiple dimensions, and we'll talk about that today. So let me stop the screen share, and I'll tell you a little bit about Desert Blockchain Camp, and what the opportunity set is here, and then we'll go through a presentation. So Desert Blockchain is a community of about 2,500 members in Phoenix, Arizona, largest blockchain community in Arizona, and we have monthly sessions on the fourth Wednesday of the month, which is about an hour-long program virtually, and then we have these sessions here at Desert Blockchain Camp on the second Wednesday, or excuse me, second Saturday of the month, which is our open house. And what you see behind me is Desert Blockchain Camp. And basically, this is an opportunity for anyone to join us and talk about various topics. We serve pizza at noon, so you can follow along at meetup.com/desert-blockchain if you'd like to join our sessions sometime. And you can find links underneath this YouTube in the notes to the presentation today, as well as our Twitter and other resources like a link to the presentation and the meetup and so forth. So let me tell you a little bit about what we're going to go over today. We're going to talk about Soroban, which is the native smart contract that's being built on the Stellar network, and it is only in a test mode right now, and it should be live sometime around the middle of the year. But the Stellar Development Foundation, which basically guides the Stellar network and community, has basically announced that they have a $100 million fund to spur Soroban adoption over the next 2 years. This week on the 8th, they announced that they have a $10 million open application funding for Soroban. And what we're doing today is we're taking this funding opportunity as an opportunity for creating some collaborative teams, 2 teams for that matter, one in Phoenix and one in Los Angeles, that's designed to bring together developers from the banking industry, as well as developers from the academic realms in the respective areas. So we'll talk about that in some depth. This is a new program. We are just pioneering this, prototyping it, so there's a lot that's in flux at this point, but here's the opportunity from the banking side. Let's talk about that. From the banking side, probably you're not familiar with the Stellar network and ecosystem, but in my opinion, Stellar.org has created a very attractive opportunity for traditional banking entities to have a very easy on-ramp into the digital value, digital asset, global network of value transfer, and they have partnered with MoneyGram so that you can now easily convert fiat currency into digital currency or digital value, and vice versa, pretty much anywhere in the world where there's a MoneyGram outlet. So that's kind of an initial introduction to what the opportunity set is. With the Soroban smart contracts, there's going to be some powerful logic that will be should be as powerful and perhaps more powerful than what Ethereum has in their smart contracts. And there's other attractive dimensions to cover as well. So let's go ahead and get started. I will screen share and get back into the presentation. And we'll cover this and see if there's any questions. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to type in questions into the chat, and I am following that. We can cover that as we progress. So let's get okay, here we go. So here is the announcement from October 11th of 2022, where the Stellar Development Foundation announced their $100 million fund to support native smart contract adoption. And we've seen just a little bit of that so far, but this is designed to be rolled out, or the funding is designed to be deployed over the next 2 years. So this is an opportunity for people, whether you're in the banking industry or wherever you're coming from, this is an opportunity to get some funding, use the funding to build projects. Stellar is about building applications on top of the network. That is really their goal. It's they also do remittances around the world, but the Stellar Development Foundation is really interested in spurring and sparking innovation in the decentralized realm and building powerful applications on top of the network. So this is the announcement that came out on February the 8th, just a few days ago, and it talks about how there's this batch of money designed to fund projects. I believe it's over a 3-month period, up to $150,000 per project, and we'll get more information on this Monday, February the 13th, on how the fund's going to be run and what sort of projects they're looking for, as well as a timetable on the various activities, including a boot camp. And some of us here in the Desert Blockchain community participated in the Stellar Community Fund number 11, which started around early November, and we participated in the boot camp. We created a project called SNAC, which stands for Stellar NFT, NFC Access Control, and we placed 4th out of 152 applications with 34 countries participating from around the world, and we received a grant to further the project of about $7,500 in lumens, and we're actively working on moving that project forward, which makes it very easy to access the Stellar network and do some transactions where basically it's as simple as opening the door to a hotel room where you wave a card in front of a reader, and voila, things start to happen on the Stellar blockchain and network. So if you're not familiar with Stellar, here is a summary from CoinMarketCap that shows where the lumens were at earlier today, about 8.5 cents per Stellar lumen. You can access the white papers, the internet website, and other resources, and see how Stellar and Stellar lumens have tracked over the years. And Stellar basically was created, I believe, in 2014, and I'll show you some resources as we go forward, how you can find out about the history of Stellar and where it's at. But you can see on this that the market capitalization of Stellar, the Stellar network, is about $2.2 billion. So it is a substantial project. I think it's about 25th on the list of the top 100 projects and cryptocurrencies and so forth. So it's a really I consider it to be a well-designed and stable project and network and community. So here are some of the advantage of stellar.org. Speed, there's about 6-second block times with single block finality, which means you're not exposed to the blocks being dropped off or the chain changing from what you thought it was, like you are with other blockchain projects. The cost, it's like a 10,000th of a cent in order to do a transaction, and or the basic transaction. There's huge integration with the legacy banking network. There's versatility where you can create just about any asset you can think of. The consensus algorithm is very well designed in my view, which is federated Byzantine agreement. There's a built-in decentralized exchange. You can do clawbacks, which is really, really powerful. They have a focus on regulatory compliance, and part of their mission statement for the Stellar Development Foundation is to foster the understanding of blockchain decentralization, as well as to work with regulators to help understand and move regulation forward that can accommodate this new decentralized realm. They have from what I can tell, a very strong financial position. The team's outstanding, and their purpose is really to make a difference for people all over the world and basically create powerful tools that empower each of us as individuals. So there's other very attractive dimensions as well. The disadvantage is that Ethereum is, at this point, is generally considered the biggest smart contract global computation network that's out there. And most people have built things like non-fungible tokens and so forth on Ethereum, and Ethereum definitely has the lead. The advantage, in my view, is that the people that are associated with the Stellar community have had the advantage of watching to see what works and what could be improved in the Ethereum realm of smart contracts and logic. And I believe that the people that have designed Soroban have taken into account some of the areas where things could be improved. So in the other thing is that stellar lumens, as far as I can tell, are generally not looked upon as what I call buy low, sell high cryptocurrency or tokens that are earmarks of other projects that are out there where people are mostly interested in making price appreciation trades. So I think the fact that stellar lumens are kind of quiet in that regard is kind of an advantage, but others might view it as a disadvantage. The other thing is that because there's so many different powerful dimensions to Stellar, there's a bit of I would call it a steep learning curve to get your arms around the entire, or try to get your arms around the various dimensions of the ecosystem. And that's one of the advantages that we can offer through this initiative, to create some teams and sort of collaborate with banking technical talent as well as academic technical talent, and have the best shot at getting projects funded through the the open application funding that's now available. So here's a little sketch of the participation goals. And again, this is new, this is an experiment, and we'll have to see how this is received. And part of this session is to sort of test the waters and get some feedback as to how appealing this particular structure or proposal is. But the goal is, between now and the start of the first hack or competition time, is to create 2 teams, each team having 5 members, 2 from the banking industry, and that would be, let's say, a couple of software developers from a given bank, and then 2 from a given academic institution. And I'll just use like Arizona State University, their computer science department as an example. And then 1 of us from Desert Blockchain, one of us who has experience in these events and these hackathons and so forth with the Stellar Community Fund. We will be in the position of sort of a project coordinator, coach, guidance, and making sure that things are moving in a way that gives the team the best shot at getting funding through this competition. So each team will be competing in upcoming events for up to $150,000 for project funding per team. And the proposed structure is that the bank funds the team with some basic amount and controls the selection of the project, while the academic institution is retained on contract, and Desert Blockchain is also retained on contract in order to participate in this, and that whatever's produced is open source. If the banking institution, after the competition is concluded, wants to file intellectual property, that's certainly up to them to do that. But in order to make this as smooth as possible, and also to basically create something that could be used beyond just a given bank's internal operations or whatever, it would be very attractive if the project could satisfy a need in the overall global Stellar community and ecosystem. So that's the proposal. Nothing written in stone on this. It's just a starting point, and we're looking for feedback from this session as people watch this video to see if we can modify this, or if there's other thoughts as to how this can be structured. And again, the teams will be focused on Los Angeles, 1 team in Los Angeles and 1 team in Phoenix. So here's a little bit about my background. Here's my contact information. And I'm going to briefly go through the resources, the other material and resources, which is, here is the quarterly review that just came out on, I believe it was January 31st of 2023. And this is a good overview of what Stellar is, what they've accomplished last year, what their interests, their focuses are. And I recommend you take a look at this. This is gives you a really good overall view of both Stellar as well as Soroban and Stellar Aid Assist, which I think is a very inspiring project to give money to refugees in the Ukraine, and also their collaboration with and connection with MoneyGram, which was created last year. And just so you know, last year, the Stellar Development Foundation placed over $26 million in particular projects as funding, a funding source for projects that they thought had merit to warrant funding to further particular applications, as well as the overall stellar ecosystem. So I think that speaks to the power of what's at stake here and the commitment that the Stellar Development Fund has to provide funding to grow the applications, the network, and the community. So, whoops, let's go the other way. This is a session that we did in November on the $100 million Soroban Fund. After it was announced, you can watch that. This is a presentation I did at Arizona State University, Sandra Day O'Connor College of Law, on the possibility of creating federated consumer safeguards as an alternative to the regulatory needs and safeguard needs that are, being grappled with by people, by regulators all over the world. You can take a look at this, but part of the reason that I included this was because I included Stellar Development Foundation as one of the potential participants in doing some innovative safeguards and backstops, consumer backstops, let's say, a new approach, at least to consider for the regulatory quandary, I would call it, that many regulators and countries are in at this point. So here's another presentation we did, which was titled Military Advantage in Blockchain. And this covers how many of the, or several of the countries on the western border of Russia have embraced blockchain and decentralization as a way to boost their defenses for an event like we saw last year, where a conflict has arisen between Russia and Ukraine. But the critical thing about this is that this is a real life, literal battle test of the robustness and resiliency of the Stellar network, where it's actually part of the battlefield. And one would assume that the powerful adversary to the Ukraine, Russia, which has generally been regarded as one of the top, let's say, cyber forces in the world. This speaks to the ability for the Stellar blockchain and ecosystem to withstand what we would assume to be constant attacks against the Stellar network. So you can take a look at this. And this also speaks to the robustness and the critical piece that Stellar plays in the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. And Mikhail on the left is the Minister of Digital Transformation for Ukraine, and he talks about their reliance upon the Stellar network for transferring value to troops, paying for goods and services, and how it's part of it plays a key role in their commitment to transform Ukraine into a fully digitized socio-political ecosystem. So you can take a look at this in detail, but I think it's an excellent overview of how the Stellar Network is playing a key role in the Ukrainian-Russian conflict. So here is a talk by David Mazieres. I think I'm pronouncing his name correctly. He's a professor at Stanford, and he is the architect of the stellar consensus algorithm called Federated Byzantine Agreement. And you can see that he talks a lot about how the stellar blockchain and stellar ecosystem is designed to be a fit for purpose application for banking systems to enhance their robustness. So here is another great talk by I would say the key founder of Stellar, who is Jed McCaleb, and you can take a look at this, but it has some great insights into Jed's commitment to this project, to creating something that's powerful for basically all people. So check this out. And then here is an image of Danelle Dixon, who's the CEO of Stellar, testifying before Congress, which she does frequently, and basically is being an expert as well as a resource for the entire crypto industry to assist in educating the people that are in Congress regarding these rather technical and new and somewhat confusing constructs we call decentralization or blockchain, in particular in this stellar realm. So here's a session which is an example of what's done frequently, but the fellow on the left is one of the chief community developers in the Stellar ecosystem. And then Anuhya on the right is also like a community liaison, and she's in charge of Soroban and so forth. The hackathon and the Sorobanathon, she calls it, and she was our coach in the Stellar Community Fund number 11 competition. So here's an example of some results, which is Shane Sandler, who goes by Blockchaingerous, competed in the Stellar Community Fund number 8, and basically placed second and fifth in this competition. And he was awarded about $20,000 worth of stellar lumens. Prior to that, the same year in 2021, he had received a grant, his initial grant of about $2,000 worth of lumens. But the point is that when you look at Crypto Cannoneer, it looks like kind of a crazy project, but it's designed to introduce fun into the learning process and be an educational platform for anybody that's interested in learning about Stellar or cryptocurrency or decentralization and so forth. So be sure to give that a look and see how it works. It's offline right now, waiting for some repairs, but just keep an eye on the Crypto Cannoneer as a way to learn, introduce fun, and check out Stellar. So here is a video of the Crypto Cannoneer that Shane did for Stellar Community Fund number 10, where he was looking to mint some NFTs that have royalties associated with them. It's a fun video. And then here is our submission. On the left was the initial introduction to the Stellar NFT, NFC access controller SNAC, which we did, I think, in early November. And then on the right is our actual submission where we talk about sort of the project as completed. So both great opportunities to learn something about Stellar. This is another session we did on the Soroban Adoption Fund. This is the video, and you can check that out. This is a Stellar Quest open house, where Stellar Quest is probably your best way to start to learn and do a deep dive into Stellar. There's you get non-fungible token badges as you complete the various quests, and it's really well done. There's a whole set of videos now that will step you through the Stellar Quest projects. So this is, I believe this last slide, but this is yet another version of the article that appeared early in the going. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I will stop the screen share and check and see if there's any questions. You see any questions in the chat, Randy? No. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up to keep the video fairly short and use this as sort of a launching point for introducing people to this opportunity, to introduce banks to the opportunity and academic institutions as well. We'll be having more of these sessions as things progress, and as the definition is put around the open application funding. But feel free to reach out to me, Jay Carpenter at desertblockchain.com, and join us on our Twitter site at which our handle is Desert Block Hack. You can get blockchain, and then you can follow us on Meetup at meetup.com/desert-blockchain. So that's about it for today. Thank you for your time and attention and watching this, and give it some thought. Particularly if you're with a bank, and no matter where you're at in the structure of a bank, check it out and let us help you make a smoother introduction to the Stellar network and Soroban testnet and all of that. This is, I think, a really attractive opportunity for existing banks to see some very, very powerful tools that can be applied to create new business opportunities for you. And if you're an academic institution, this is an opportunity for some of your top students to participate with a banking institution in a sort of a mini internship capacity that might lead to other opportunities, and as well as for your computer science majors to get an introduction to Soroban as well as the Stellar community and network as well. So that's it for today. Stay tuned. We'll have more as things progress. And thanks for your time and attention. We will turn off the live stream and join us in the future.